This is a special weather report. I'm KOIN 6 Chief Meteorologist Josh Cozart as a KOIN 6 weather alert remains in place for Wednesday night into Thursday, all in preparation of the return of low elevation snow. This is our first real taste of the winter season here across the Pacific Northwest, and we are keeping an extremely close eye on the potential changes that are so dynamic and has really been building over the past few days as our temperatures still remain on the chillier side, but not necessarily below freezing. So that bodes well for the bigger picture as we move our way through the next several hours. Again, a lot of this is expected to expire along with that KOIN 6 weather alert by the time we start to move our way into the middle part of Thursday morning, because skies are going to start to dry, clouds are going to break apart, maybe even a bit of sunshine, all as those temperatures rapidly warm back up into the mid-40s. But until we get to that point, we really have to hone in on that potential where snowflakes have already been seen flying across our area over the past several days and even into much of the day today on Wednesday. That's where we could potentially be seeing much of the same moving our way through the overnight hours. Just to look at some of the images that you at home have sent in out towards the Sylvan area. So all of these are the higher elevated spots picking up on those brief snow showers. Again, very brief in nature, not amounting to anything more than sights like this. And I don't know, I always kind of think of this as the best case scenario to enjoy the snow. It's low impact for us. We get to still enjoy the winter season. And overall, temperatures are not too chilly, so you can actually enjoy sights like this just the same out of the Southwest Portland area. Thanks to Kathy Whitaker for sending that great video. And sights like this, still a very real potential moving our way through the overnight time frame. Of course, Joey Kinney out towards the Gresham area, up again in elevation, seeing some of those snowflakes almost maybe mixed in with a few wet raindrops. And again, any snow that is falling is not going to be that light powdery snow. It's really going to be falling in the form of those slushy big flakes that as soon as they touch any surface are rapidly going to be melting. So that is the good news as we continue to see snowflakes falling anywhere from the Ridgefield area all the way out towards Mount Hood, an area that we'd like to see the snow fall and accumulate. And we're really going to be picking up on maybe a few sites of the snowflakes falling even here in the heart of downtown Portland as those water droplets out towards Ailene continue to kind of flirt back and forth with snowflakes back over to rain. And that's really where that temperature line is hovering right now across much of our area as we move our way through the rest of Wednesday night and into Thursday morning, only expected to fall back into the mid-30s. So that's going to be keeping things relatively on the nice side. As we take a look out towards the Ridgefield area, we've been watching this camera closely because it has been switching back and forth between the heavy rain back over to the heavy snowfall. But you can see the roadways just on the wet side, and that's really going to be the scenario. Unless you go up closer to, I'd say, 500 feet to maybe even 1,000 feet. That's where maybe a light dusting of snow is expected, and that's where some slick spots have the potential to start to develop across our area. As temperatures as of Wednesday evening are hovering again above the freezing mark in many cases, I think some of our higher elevated spots, primarily out towards the Hood River area, maybe Astoria, Ridgefield, flirting with freezing. But again, our temperatures have been so warm that a lot of the heat has been trapped into those surfaces like roadways, where the threat of seeing any of that accumulation on the roads or major impacts for our roadways is really next to none. But overall, the good news is our confidence. It continues to grow as this really plays out. What we've already seen come to fruition, a reassurance that, yes, our forecast is on track. So I think we'll see a few flurries tonight for much of the Portland-Vancouver metro area. But unfortunately, if you're a snow lover, there's no accumulation. This is not going to be an event where you can go out with the tape measure or the yardstick or even a ruler and see anything of measurable snowfall. I've gotten a few photos in as well of people's back decks, those colder surfaces that are elevated off of the ground, maybe keeping that snow for an hour or two, but then by the time that snow starts to pull its way out of our region, it's non-existent. So sorry, kiddos. I don't think that this is going to be the event that gives you a snow day this winter season, unfortunately, or fortunately for the parents as well. As we've seen over the past several hours, that moisture continuing to track its way into our area. So those pinks out towards the Lincoln County area, that's a wintry mix, maybe some freezing precipitation, less than ideal. But again, even that frozen precipitation is going to be melting as it touches the surface because temperatures are just too warm to sustain any icing. The blue, of course, that is the snowfall that we continue to kind of see dance back and forth between the green, which is the rain, But I do anticipate a lot of that to start to close into the I-5 corridor as we move our way past about the midnight hour. So our window, I think, of opportunity to see some of those heavier snow showers is 1 a.m. all the way till about 5 in the morning. And then we start to really get in on a drier weather patterns. The Portland-Vancouver area, again, showing that the best potential to see some of those snowflakes is going to be up in elevation, the West Hills, just the same out towards the Newburgh, wine country, the rolling hills, maybe picking up on a light dusting, especially as maybe you wake up early tomorrow morning. Some really pretty pictures for us. You can see the image below. That's just a loop from earlier on Wednesday evening of those snowflakes coming down out towards the Ridgefield area. But sites like that going to be persistent. Of course, you can download the PDX weather app right now or go to KOIN.com. Under the weather tab, we have a live radar where you can kind of zoom in. You can see the same image here, but live and in real time, and track exactly where the snow is falling as it closes in, maybe on where you live, as the high terrain of the Cascades seeing a welcome sight. Snow finally returning to Mount Hood. It has been long overdue. They have been waiting for this all winter season. As the National Weather Service out of Portland continues to hold on to that winter weather advisory all the way through 4 o'clock on Friday. So more additional accumulative snow is a possibility. It's music to the ears of the skiers and snowboarders. I know it. It's just going to be difficult travel. No surprise, but what those skiers and snowboarders anticipate is they head up in elevation. So just be cautious and make sure that your safety kit is close at hand if you are traveling anywhere within the next 24 to 48 hours and really even to next week for the Cascades. Now, as far as the winter weather advisory goes for the Portland metro area, you'll notice that the West Hills, the Chehalem Mountains out towards the Newburgh area, that's where we could potentially see some light dusting of snow, as those are slightly higher elevated spots. And I do anticipate that maybe we'll start to see some of those flakes come down. Maybe a light dusting on many of our evergreen trees, maybe on the grassy spots, maybe a few slick spots here and there briefly. But as soon as that snow comes to an end, it's quickly going to be melting. So this is not a long, impactful thing. Another kind of reminder for us, because it's been a while since we've seen winter weather like this, is that bridges are the first to freeze, and overpasses, much the same like our decks out on our back patio. Elevated spots allow for that cooler air to get underneath it and to drop the surface temperature much more rapidly, as opposed to a street that's actually connected to the roadway and doesn't allow that breathable air to get underneath it. So the bridges, overpasses, if anything's going to accumulate that light dusting of snow, it's going to be spots like that. But for the most part, I really don't see it being a concern for us, as our weather pattern is all taking shape because of this massive low pressure system that's been working its way further to the south, driving the jet stream, the gatekeeper between the warm air, which is out towards our west, and the colder pocket of air that's over much of the Pacific Northwest. It's that cooler combination with the available moisture that's creating this perfect storm for the potential for some of those snowflakes to fall. And really, as we put this into motion towards Friday, you'll notice a little bit of a ridge or a hill to start to develop over western Oregon, southwest Washington. It's that potential that still keeps rain showers in our forecast all the way through the weekend. If anything, maybe even some heavier downpours anticipated. Also keeping our temperatures slightly cooler, but a gradual warming trend does start to take shape. All as a ridge of high pressure begins to build over the Four Corners states, that's going to throw us a bone in the temperature department. So back up to the low to mid-50s, where we typically should be for this time of year. That's going to start to take shape, but it's the low that remains just to the west. And the reason that this low is playing differently for our forecast, say this weekend or next week, is because it's far enough off to the west. As it sits far enough to the west, it's still going to be able to throw moisture our direction, but not necessarily going to be influencing those colder temperatures thanks to the ridge of high pressure. So that's why it differs just a little bit than what we're experiencing today. You may unfortunately be experiencing maybe migraines. I know I'm a headache-prone person myself. A lot of folks around the office here at KOIN 6 also saying the same thing, and I blame the weather. Yeah, these ups and downs of those lows and high pressure systems swinging their way through our area really over the past few days, today, Wednesday night, into Thursday morning. That is still a scenario even into the weekend. You got to keep in mind our weather patterns have been extremely quiet this winter season. This is the first real ups and downs that we've been experiencing as of late. So with that barometric pressure change, it could potentially make you feel a little uneasy or give you maybe one of those mild headaches. So I'm calling it a mild weather-caused migraine for our migraine meter here for our Wednesday night into Thursday. So just kind of keep that in mind as we work our way through the next several days. All right, here's where things maybe get a little more interesting for us. I'm going to go ahead and take it full so we can see it in its entirety. As for our Futurecast, you'll notice after midnight come Thursday, 2 a.m., yeah, there's a lot more blue closer to the I-5 corridor. Still some green. That's an indication of our rain. But that's where we could potentially see some of that rain flip its way back over to some heavier snow showers. Keep in mind, though, temperatures still above the freezing mark. 32 is what water freezes at. And even at this point in time, a lot of those roadways, again, are still well above what is typical. So stretching anywhere from the Eugene-Springfield area all the way up to Longview, parts of southwest Washington, even the coast could pick up on some of those snow showers. And that's what we've been seeing. Many of us waking up along parts of the coastline with a light dusting of snow along our shore. Bit of an oddity. Cool to see. Snap a photo. Send it to us here at KOIN 6 News over at KOIN.com. Again, it's under that weather tab that you can click share photos with us. And we'd love to see them. Share them right here on KOIN Now, the KOIN Plus streaming app that you're currently watching, social media, and of course on KOIN 6 News. But overall, we are anticipating some of those snow potentials to close in on the I-5 corridor as we work our way past the midnight hour tonight. Fast forward to our commute, and I'll even kind of back it up just a little bit more so we can see. 7 a.m., yeah, there's not a lot of moisture available in our area. Starting to dry things out. Temperatures maybe the coldest point, but still above freezing. So really not a concern for us as we work our way towards the middle part of Thursday morning. That's when the KOIN 6 weather threat melts away just as any of those snowflakes or like dusting of snow is expected through our area as well. Temperatures rapidly warming back up by tomorrow afternoon to low to mid to maybe even upper 40s for some of us. That too, helping the melting process as we are picking up on maybe a brief rain shower too come Thursday evening. Temperatures fall again, but look, those drying skies still taking shape. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe parts of Clark County come Friday morning see a snowflake or two. I don't think it's warranted enough to issue that KOIN 6 weather alert for Friday because it's going to be low impact. If anything, maybe over the coast range picking up on a bit of that as well. But for the most part, the threat of any snow quickly subsides after Thursday morning. By Friday evening, drying skies again, low 40s for us. It's not until we push our way into Saturday that we have that potential to pick up on maybe a little bit more of the moisture as temperatures warm. All right, we've been talking about these elevations as well. You might be scratching your head, well, where do I exactly live? So on the right-hand corner of your screen, I've gone ahead and listed just roughly what some of our elevations are and some of our major locations or standing points that are familiar to you, like OHSU at 200 to 500 feet. So snow elevation levels tonight, Wednesday into Thursday morning, 700 feet. That's where accumulative snow, and again, nothing more than a dusting or maybe an inch at that, but it doesn't stick around for much more than an hour after the snow subsides or stops falling. So that really kind of keeps Portland, Vancouver in the clear. However, snowflakes can still survive in those warmer layers near the surface. So that's where we have that potential for the snow. But anyone who is maybe excited to wake up tomorrow morning in downtown Portland to see it snow covered, not likely the case. I'm one of those people that's always wishful for that. I am from Colorado, so I enjoy the snow, but not going to be the scenario for us here in Portland, as Thursday afternoon brings the snow elevation level way back up to, say, almost 1,500 feet. So that means no snow. Anything that falls out of the sky is going to fall in the form of rain. And then Thursday night, that's where we drop it down to 300 feet. So that's even lower than what we expect tonight and tomorrow. But keep in mind, Thursday night, that's when we start to dry things out. So that concern not necessarily going to be there any longer. So I hope that kind of helps clear things up. We've also got a lot of articles up at KOIN.com that really kind of break down our elevations. You can literally just Google Portland elevations, KOIN, KOIN. Lots of articles up there about it. But as far as that snow potential goes, I think snowflakes falling in Portland. I think snowflakes falling over the West Hills. Also for some of the higher elevated hillsides that are surrounding the Willamette Valley. Anything up in elevation, seeing those snowflakes, and even low elevation, seeing the snowflakes. Maybe sticking to the grass and trees briefly, but for the most part, it's really not going to be impactful for us, especially for those roadways in the metro area, freeways, highways, all clear. Even a lot of the side streets, unless you are up in elevation, then that's maybe where we pick up on a light dusting again that doesn't stick around for much more than an hour for much of us. Now, as far as the snow accumulation goes, again, take this with a grain of salt. I expect us to maybe see a light dusting over the West Hills. Again, a lot of this is going to be lost due to melting. So this is what it would be if, say, our temperatures at the surface, the ground, the grass, the streets were at 32 degrees or below. So a lot of this not likely coming to fruition. And as we continue to get closer to this system, we've really started to kind of notice that the potential for snow is peeling its way out of Portland, Vancouver, the Willamette Valley. But again, snowflakes, very similar to what we've already seen today, still expected to accumulate across our area. So just kind of keep that in mind. So for anyone maybe driving around over the next 24 hours or so, our roads break down as followed. Just wet for us Wednesday night, Thursday morning, just the same. Maybe if you're up in elevation, you see that light dusting, take it slow. I know some of the hills can be a little treacherous, especially with crews not going into any of those back roads or anything like that. But you'll notice by the time we get to even the midpoint of Thursday, expecting to really kind of see all of that come to an end as everything flips back over to rain. And if anything, what we've known about snow and rain over the past couple of months now for the Cascades, anytime we get rain on top of snow, it melts fast. That's going to be the case for us moving our way into Thursday as well. So just kind of keep that in mind over the next 12 hours or so, moving our way into Thursday afternoon. But the snow, really kind of a pretty sight to be seen here across our area. More sights like this are a possibility. We're going to take a quick break here on KOIN Now, streaming KOIN Plus. As we return, we'll be also discussing about the snow accumulation expected over the high terrain at the Cascades and how that might play into us here in Portland over the next coming days as temperatures begin to warm. We'll be right back. Welcome back to this KOIN special weather report as a weather alert still remains in place. I'm KOIN 6 Chief Meteorologist Josh Cozart as we prepare for some lower elevation snow. That is a very real potential for much of our area as we are anticipating maybe some isolated spots to see some snow accumulation across our area. But for the most part, this is going to be a low impact storm for much of our area. Sorry to disappoint for anyone who has been longing for the snowy conditions to return. That's just not in the cards. If you're just now joining us for the special weather report, a few snowflakes possible for the Portland, Vancouver metro area, not expected to stick on any of those roadways. And as we start to move our way into the morning commute on Thursday, maybe it's the highest elevations, closer to 1,000 feet, that could pick up on a brief snowflake or two. But for the most part, we are not going to see any accumulation across our area. Having said that, if temperatures were perfect and everything was clear cut, say surface temperatures were at freezing or below, we might see scenarios like this where it is being picked up on. But a lot of it that falls to the ground is going to be melting rapidly. So I think maybe the West Hills a light dusting, but as soon as that last snowflake falls, we are done with that accumulation. But we are expected to really kind of hold on to the potential for some of the side streets, higher elevations. I'm talking about the West Hill communities. Getting maybe out of your house or your driveway, you might come across a light dusting. Maybe just push it off with the push broom if you're really worried about it, but it won't be sticking around for much more than, say, an hour. And all of this comes really as our snow elevation levels are rapidly on the move. This is a very dynamic system that has brought snow elevation levels back down to, say, 700 feet, maybe even by Friday morning, 300 feet, but that comes with a drying trend. So no fear of any new precipitation is expected. as we quickly warm things up. As you see that line quickly trend back to 4,000 feet to almost 6,000 feet Saturday, Sunday. Moisture still available here across the Pacific Northwest, but really not expecting to see any impact for the valley as that KOIN 6 weather alert does come to an end for us by the end of the event, which is Thursday. By the middle part of the day, 10 o'clock or so in the morning, Thursday, yeah, we're done with that snow threat. But the good news is that available moisture is still there for Sunday into Monday, where if we look at long-range models, we kind of see that snow trend hovers right around 4,000 feet. So places like government camp still expecting to see cumulative snow. This is a welcome sight to an area that has struggled, and we're talking about the Cascades, with any real significant snowfall. So this has been a welcome sight. Just looking back on our Wednesday over the past 24 hours or so, picking up on several new inches of snow. The skiers, the snowboarders have been seeing everyone having a great time up there, as they should, because you have packed your patience long enough, finally seeing those base layers build back up. And that's going to be the case for us as we really kind of move our way into the weekend. Much of next week likely going to be on the wet side, cold enough over the Cascades to see the accumulative snow. So that is a very welcome sight. So we've kind of seen our big snow events happening over the mountains of Western Washington. Yeah, they'll still be getting snow, at least through Sunday evening. Maybe a foot and a half a possibility, but it's Mount Hood that could potentially see even more than that. A foot and a half possible. That's a really welcome sight because we really have not had the beneficial snow that we would typically see for February. Just to put it all into perspective, we've been down by about 6 feet. Yeah, 6 feet in the snow department for our ski resorts. So we desperately need to see this, helping crews and anyone whose livelihood is the ski and snowboarding life, to be able to actually do something. We've talked with Mountain Meadows people saying their crews are excited to be able to move some of this new snow around to places that haven't really been accessible for so many people for this winter season. So if you've got that season pass and you've been waiting for the event, this is the week, this is the weekend in the next week to really get out and enjoy it. Now, for those of us here in the city, maybe seeing a snowflake or two for our night tonight into Thursday morning. 35 degrees is where we fall to, so that keeps us above freezing. So any snow or sleet that you see falling across our area, yeah, it's going to be melting quite rapidly. By tomorrow afternoon, temperatures getting back up into the mid-40s for us. We'll see some of those snow showers by about sunrise, transition back over to rain. And then after that, it's really done and over with. The KOIN 6 weather alert comes to an end as we see the winds out of the north at about 3 to 6 miles per hour. So really not too bad of a way to round out this KOIN 6 weather alert with some low impacts for much of the Pacific Northwest. Great for the skiers, the snowboarders alike, as our 7-day really kind of paints a pretty clear picture. We'll take this in full so you can see it in its entirety, but expecting maybe a snowflake or two for Thursday morning, I think by 10 o'clock or so. Expecting it to turn back over to a few brief rain showers. As we move our way into Friday, a bit of a drying trend. So waking up Friday morning with temperatures slightly below freezing, it will be dry enough to be able to not freeze anything. So slick spots really not a potential for us come Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday, that's where those temperatures, they begin to warm as the wet weather returns. So that's the opportunity for much of our area over the Cascades and even parts of the Coast Range. Moving our way into next week, that could potentially see some more additional snow because, boy, is it going to be wet. Yeah, if you like the rainy conditions for your February, yep, that is in store for us all the way through early next week. But at least those temperatures comfortable, both overnight lows in the low 40s, afternoon highs low to mid 50s. That actually puts us slightly above our average for this time of year. So that very much so a welcome sight for much of the region. And that's something that's going to carry us well into next week. So what we have to deal with here is going to be short term. The snowflakes, the potential to fall across our area, but really expecting to see this come to a close pretty rapidly. So you can, of course, stay with the KOIN 6 weather team all throughout the night. We'll be live on The 10 on Portland CW at 10 o'clock. KOIN 6 News on CBS and also streaming right here on KOIN Plus. You can also watch us live stream on KOIN.com with the latest forecast always available right there in the palm of your hand, where you can also track the live radar sites as well. And then, starting at 4:30 in the morning, KOIN This Morning starts, where Steve Pierce will be in discussing how your early morning commute goes, which I anticipate to be fairly smooth for so many of us. Just the higher elevations to pick up on a snowflake or two as improvements take us through the end of the week. Thanks for watching this KOIN 6 special weather report as the KOIN 6 weather alert takes us through Thursday morning for the potential for a few snowflakes. Have a great night.